One of the saddest questions I hear again and again, from people over 40 is this one. They ask me, isn't it too late for me? For some reason, this question always makes me want to cry. I hear people in their 50s, a 58-year-old person asked me, isn't it too late for me? And then a couple of years ago, a 67-year-old man broke down, in my house and then was asking me, isn't it too late for me? Now, they are not asking, how do I make money? They are not asking, what business should I start? But there's that quiet, heavy question. Have I already missed my chance? So if you're in this live stream and you're over 40, over 50, or even in your 60s, and you have ever asked that question, even if you didn't ask it out, but inside yourself, you keep wondering, oh my God, have I missed it? Is there still hope for me? Indicate in the comment section. You see, because when I look at people who ask me this question, I would never describe them as lazy people. They ask this question because they are tired. And I can understand the feeling, because I was in my 40s when I lost everything. All the family savings that I had working for Shell, I lost it in Nospetco and World Zone. And it was a heavy blow. If you lose money in your 20s, I think it feels a little more bearable than when you're 52 or you're 50 and then you're financially devastated. So people who ask this question, is it too late for me? Can I still make it? In fact, just a couple of hours ago, a 46-year-old woman asked me the same question. Do you think there's still hope for me at 46? I don't have money and I don't have job. Do you think there's still hope for me? Oh my God. So you see, these people sacrificed, they worked, they followed advice. I mean, for 46 years, you've read books, you've attended seminars, you've gone to school, you've worked, you followed advice. You probably may have followed someone who taught you investing, but somehow life didn't respond the way that it promised. So something inside you went quiet. And then for some time, you stop asking questions publicly. You stop hoping privately. And that's how the questions come. Because you see, when you stop asking questions publicly and then when you stop hoping privately, which is why people ask me, is there still hope for me? The saddest part is that you start living smaller than you were meant to. And this is something you must refuse. You start living smaller than you were meant to live, just to avoid more disappointment. So that's what's happening to many people who are in their 40s, 50s, who have misstepped financially, who've made mistakes financially, who haven't gotten the sort of financial outcomes that they had expected that they will have by now. And then these are people who sometimes feel, oh my God, I'm 58. I've been working for 30 years and there's nothing to show for it. So if that question has ever crossed your mind, this session is exactly for you. And I'm not going to be giving you a get rich quick message. That is not what it is, because it doesn't work. And it's also not for you. If you want hype, the sort of money hype that you get from influencers, some influencers out there, it's not also a motivational talk at all. This is for people who are tired, who are capable and quietly afraid that time has run out for them, or that time is running out. And then even if you're in your late 60s, like many of you who follow me are in your late 60s, 65, 67, 68, some of you 69, stay with me, because what feels like too late is often something else, something entirely different. And once you see it, the way forward becomes practical and not painful. You're going to see the way forward tonight. Even if you're 67 years and you felt that time is running out, and you felt that it's not possible to be wealthy again, stay with me, because tonight I'm going to remove that pressure, and I'm also going to remove that shame. By the end of this session, you will have clarity. You will have one clear lane. You will have one income move, one weekly system, one freedom rule. I'm also going to introduce you to one book that helped me, because I was in a similar situation. In my 40s, I was financially devastated. And just it happened to be the time children were still in school. And you know that if you're like me, the most expensive item in the parenting budget, in the journey of parenting, is the children's education. Children's education. If you're in your 40s, 50s, and you're paying school fees, it's the same thing. So you can actually, I don't know what countries you're watching from, but type in the comment section if proper education is also expensive in your country. So maybe there are some countries, I hear that like in the Scandinavian countries, if you're there, if you're watching from there, you can confirm that education is free. But for most part of the world, you have to educate your children. And then when you opt for private school education for them, because the public schools are run down in some of these African countries, and in other places, then it's very expensive. But we're going to fix that tonight. But I want to say up front, if you can do small things consistently, you can rebuild anything. In fact, type it in the comment section. If I can do small things consistently, I can rebuild anything. So let's start on that positive platform, that positive pillar. Please type it. I would like everybody to do that. Type it in the comment section. If I can do small things consistently, I can rebuild anything. So we're going to start on that anchor. I'm going to give you 5 pillars to rebuild, whether you're 45 years or you are 60 or you're even 72 or 75. We've had somebody in the Financial Fitness Challenge, that's my wealth mentorship group. We've had a lady who was 75 years. She joined us when she was 75 years. And within the time she was in the program, she was going to turn 76 years. So it's never late. If I can do small things consistently, I can rebuild anything. One of the things I can tell you from my own experience, going through the same thing and having to rebuild my life in my 50s, having to rebuild my finances in my 50s, one of the things I can tell you is that I did small things consistently. And some of the things that I was doing to help me at that time are things I still do today. I don't know how many of you realize what it means for me to show up for you here every single day. I still have work to do. I consult for companies. I lead organizational retreats. I consult for businesses, big businesses like MTN, like Flutterwave, and the rest. So I work for organizations, but I still show up here every evening free of charge to do this for you. You know why? Because I have discovered the incredible power of consistency. Whatever you are doing, you're doing that consistently. So let's begin. The pillar number one, kind of guardrail for you if you're over 40 and then you feel that life has left you behind. And of course, I'm also aware that many of you joining are in your 20s and some of you in your 30s, but these same things apply to you. And I always say that you are significantly lucky to be listening to this high quality information, high quality education, financial education that you never got in your school. You're very, very privileged to be listening to it in your 30s and in your 20s. Because in my 20s, this was total. In fact, there wasn't internet, first of all. And then the TV programs didn't have it. The things that they had on TV was largely entertainment, They had, actors, they had some series on, just useless entertainment, Nobody came out there on TV to educate us. So you are really, really privileged if you're younger than 40 and then you're here listening to this. So the pillar number one is safety before money. So if you find yourself in that situation and you're asking, is it too late? Is there still hope for me? So the pillar number one for you to rebuild your life, to rebuild your wealth and your finances is safety before money. So what do we mean? You see, you don't build wealth when you're panicky. Money is 90% psychology. It is, in fact, I would even say 99% mindset. So your most important money-making tool, your most important money-making asset is your mind. It's not your bank account. It's not money. Type it in the comment section. My most valuable asset is my mind. If you know how to operate your mind successfully, there's no amount of money you cannot make. The solution comes first of all in your mind before you find it in the stock market. If it's not here, you won't find it anywhere. Running around with real estate or with stock market or with network marketing or whatever it is that captures your fancy or even your career. If it's not in here, you're not going to find it there. And why am I saying that? Because you need to have an anxiety-free brain to be able to make money. So you don't build wealth while panicking. You build it when your system feels safe enough to think. Okay. So if you're 46, you don't have money, you don't have job, and you're wondering, can I still make it? Start from here. Have a system. Your mind, let it be safe enough, free from anxiety. Do you remember why whenever you are flying and then the flight crew come to give you safety briefing? There's one line they always use all over the world. They say, in the case of emergency, should anything happen and then there's an emergency, the first thing they say is don't panic. Then they say, wait for the instructions from the crew. Life is like that. They know that when you panic, when the brain panics, it's not efficient. So if you're in a constant state of panic because of your lack of money, because of your money challenges, if you're in a constant state of panic, you increase your chances of making wrong decisions. And I can understand why this is the case, because after years of financial struggle, your brain is not weak. It becomes more cautious to try to save you. And your body learned that trying didn't always work. Your body learned that disappointment hurts and that mistakes felt very, very costly. So what happens? You learn to freeze when you find yourself in the same in such a situation. So the mistake most people make is trying to force motivation when these things collapse. So that never works after 40. What works is, first of all, safety. Your brain needs to feel safe enough and confident enough. Safety means small steps. It means setting clear limits. One of those limits is defining what success means to you. It's so important to start from there, because sometimes we also carry heavy weight on our shoulder because we are measuring ourselves with other people. We are comparing ourselves with other people. So set clear limits, and then safety means no emotional gambling. So this is pillar number one. And how do you make that practical? So I want you to write one sentence, so you can complete it. It's important that you have a journal that you use to follow our daily live stream. So you can say, this week, my only financial job, my only money related job is blank. So you fill that blank, just getting clarity on that one thing to do. Now, you can say, this week, my only financial job is to track expenses, for 7 days, to give you some insight, into how your money works, how you've been managing your money. So this week, my only financial job might be to list my skills on paper, because skills are also your assets. Because in this century, your skills, if you have skills, you can literally retire. Your skills can literally become your retirement plan. So list your skills. It can be to watch one training on money. Just, no pressure to earn money yet, just to feel comfortable. So completion comes first. Now, that leads us to pillar number 2. And then this pillar is talking about one thing. One lane is freedom. Just one lane is freedom. Now, what this means is that scattered effort keeps you stuck, but one clear lane sets you free. Because most people who are stuck after 40 don't lack ideas. In fact, in your 40s, you have so many ideas. And you not only have so many ideas, some are thinking about, okay, should I emigrate? Should I move my family to Australia? Should I move my family to Canada? Should I move my family to Europe? Should I sell this one piece of land that is a family inheritance and then move to the Caribbean or something like that? So, too many ideas. Should I start this business or not? Should I go into this kind of partnership? Should I start exporting cocoa? Should I go into fashion design? Should I do farming? So many ideas. See, but the problem is that you have too many unfinished attempts. And then I call that the abandoned project syndrome. I had it also earlier in my life. In my 20s, starting life after graduation from the university. And life, the outcome that I had, wasn't what I thought that life would produce, after graduation, because we were like, oh, graduate, and then you conquer the universe and everything just goes perfectly. But that wasn't my experience. And so when life started throwing the curveballs, and then hunger was setting in, because I was officially ineligible for pocket money again, because I was now a graduate. So I had to find something to show for it. I had too many ideas. At some point, I said, okay, I was going to start making groundnut oils. I couldn't find a job. I said I'll start making packaging groundnut oil, making groundnut oil, and packaging. So I designed a business plan. I started looking for machines that I could use to make the groundnut oil. In between, I abandoned it. I said, okay, I was going to start packaging. So in northern Nigeria, there's a drink they call kunu, which they make from a combination of maize, millet, and things like that, So I said, okay, I was going to bottle it. I was going to give Coca-Cola a competition, for their money. I started that midway. I abandoned it. I also did lesson teaching. I abandoned it. I wrote books to help people who were going to take the GCE exams. Was running around the whole place. There was no internet. There was no whatever the way we had to enter bus, carry those things I wrote. And in those days, there really wasn't photocopying as we know it today. We had something called cyclostyling. I don't know how many of you. I don't know how many of you here old enough to remember who remembers cyclostyling. They put it, I think something they call stencil, and then you go cyclostyle it. My goodness, we've come a long way. I did all those things. Midway, I abandoned it and did, and so if after 40, you are still stuck because you have too many unfinished attempts, so many abandoned projects, things you started earlier in your life, things you started last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, you abandoned it. And then you have too many directions and you have too much noise. So every half start drains your confidence. So you really want to avoid that. So recovery comes when you choose one lane and you close everything else. Because sometimes many of us never stay with one opportunity long enough for that opportunity to mature, and then you jump into another one. This is very expensive, very costly to do that in your 40s, 50s, 60s. You start something, you don't sit with it long enough to let that opportunity mature, or at least for you to learn that this is not going to work, and then you pick your lesson from it before going to other things. But you start something, 3 months, you abandon it. Start another one. No, you're not going to be able to finish this business if you do that. So recovery comes from choosing one lane, closing everything else. Not forever. You can just choose like 90-day blocks. So answer this question honestly. What is one thing I could do repeatedly to bring in money, even if it's small? This question will set you free. What is one thing I could do repeatedly to bring in money, even if it's small? And there was one book actually that helped me a lot along this direction. I would strongly recommend for you. This book helped me because I'm an ideas person. I always have, incredible ideas, things I want to, and I carry sometimes 3 journals. I always have a journal around me, noting down ideas and things like that. See, but this book, The One Thing, I don't know how many of you have read The One Thing. It's written by Gary Keller. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. So this is a book. This is in fact one of my recommendations for I'm going to give my book recommendations. I want to get around to doing it tomorrow. So The One Thing, very, very powerful, very, very powerful book. It's actually underrated, focusing on one thing. And then in the book, it talked about the fallacy of multitasking, thinking that we can do too many things at the same time. And then psychology has proven that, that multitasking is actually a fallacy. We are more efficient when we focus on one thing at a time. So ask yourself, what is one thing I could do repeatedly to bring in money, even if it is small? That is a very powerful question. It can be teaching, especially now. People do teaching online. People teach all kinds of things online. They teach languages. They teach cooking. They teach soap making. They teach all kinds of things. You go online and see the sort of things people are teaching. Ridiculous. They teach something about preparing dog food, way up to teaching people how to fly, how to swim, how to play musical instruments. I've seen all kinds of things you wouldn't believe. There, how to make toys, paper, how to make paper plane. You will be amazed the money that's available in teaching. So can you imagine? You actually discover a niche like that, and then you're teaching them how to repair their phones, or how to repair their boats, or how to repair their cars, even how to service their cars by themselves. You will be amazed. And then you're doing it repeatedly. It could be admin work, virtual assistants as well. It could be cleaning, cooking. A lady came to clean my residence the other day and charged 190,000 to clean. And she's been calling because she wants to come every month. So cleaning, cooking, selling, tutoring, caregiving, for some of you in the United States, I think also in the UK, caregiving. Could be online support. Choose one, write it down. Ignore all other ideas for now and focus on that one thing. So that is pillar number 2. Pillar number 3, income first, ego later. You see, pride delays recovery, but cash flow restores options. So what do I mean by this? A lot of people keep waiting for that golden opportunity. A couple of years ago, I don't know if it's still like that now, because I think the internet has opened up lots of, and then after 2020, remote jobs and all that. So there are a lot of opportunities. But before, when people graduate and you ask them, okay, so what do you want? They say they want to work in Shell. They want to work in the bank. So they're all waiting. And meanwhile, there was a time the totality of all the banking employees in Nigeria was not more than 150,000. Yeah, or thereabout. Not more than 150,000 or 200,000 people who work in the bank. But we have millions of graduates every year. So there's no way you could actually accommodate them. And then there's no way MTN can accommodate all that at the time. And people want to do those, what they consider prestigious work or prestigious jobs. And then they ignore low-hanging fruits, things that they can do. They say, I'm a graduate, it's beneath me to start a cleaning business. Yeah, I'm a graduate of economics, I'm a graduate of business admin, I'm a graduate of architecture. How will I start? That thing will finish, because in my own personal story, I did things like that. After I left Shell, I had to start making fruit juices. Like this one I have here. I could make incredible fruit juices. Tiger nut milk, pineapple juice with ginger. If you've taken that before, amazing. I made vegetable juices. I will use avocado peel with fluted pumpkin leaves, and then banana, and then orange juice. My goodness. You needed to taste my juice. I did that. I not only did it, I sold by the side of the road. You see these people who do street selling? I did. As an ex-employee of Shell. Because I had school fees to pay. I remember one day, it was after I left Shell, no income, nothing was coming. Things were really very tough. Things were tough in the house. Couldn't pay rent. I had quit notices at least twice to quit the residence, the places I was living, because I couldn't pay. And ended up squatting my family. Things were rough. At that time, I wasn't waiting to get a bank job or to go back to Shell and apply for them. No, I sold fruit juices. I made fruit juices. I had a store, but I also went to the side of the road where people were jogging. For some of you who know Opera Square in Indigo, I would sit there. I would be dancing. I would turn on my Bluetooth music. I was dancing by the side of a road to attract attention, to attract buyers to come buy my fruit juices. So there was no shame. There was no shame because I had to pay those children's school fees. I mean, I remember things were so bad at that time. And then one night, I usually go into my children's room, and I still do it today, even though they all live in different parts of the world now. But I use, when they were all at home, I used to go into their rooms, lay my hands on them, on their heads while they were sleeping, and bless them before I go to bed myself. I'm the high priest of my home, of my family. So I bless the children. I bless them. I said words over them and bless them. So this particular time, things were so hard and things just weren't going as planned. I would go out, make so much effort, and then nothing came out of it. And then I would come in. I was already in my 40s. And then this particular day, I got in there and I just saw these innocent children that I brought into the world. And I said to myself, my God, is this how these children, I can't pay their school fees, so they can't go to school. So I just saw this image of what would happen to these children if they didn't get educated, or if I didn't send them to really very good schools. That future flashed before my eyes, and then I said, no way, this cannot be. So I stood in that room and I called the names of my children. I called them one after the other. They were fast asleep. This must have been like midnight. I called each of their names and said 3 words: whatever it takes. So I didn't care. If you asked me at that time to come wash your toilet and then you pay me, I would do it. I would do it. Okay? So, income first, ego later. A lot of us are too, full of ourselves or something. And say, oh, this is beneath me. Nothing is beneath you. If you're in your 40s or 50s, nothing is beneath you. Small cash to kickstart your recovery. I am telling you, if you asked me, if I knew you and you said I should come and be cleaning your toilet every day to get paid, I would do it. So I'm not saying it's going to be as bad as that, but I'm sure you get my opportunity. Okay, so because many adults and many people over 40 are stuck in terms of finances because they are waiting for the right opportunity. They are waiting for the right politician. They are waiting for the next election cycle so that they can attach themselves to one political party or to one politician, who would just wave his hands and then give them millions. That's what they are waiting for. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? If you're getting what I'm saying, just type I get it. Actually, I need to interact with you. Type I get it in the comment section. And of course, if you haven't pressed the love button, if you love it, why don't you do that? Why don't you just do that and share it so other people can have an idea? So many of us are stuck because we keep waiting for the right opportunity. And some of you have been waiting for the right opportunity for 2 years, 3 years. I meet people who've been waiting for the right opportunity. Not long ago, somebody said, oh, he lost his job during the pandemic, the COVID. And then he said, he's never found a job since that. How can you? He worked in a bank and he was laid off. For some of you remember the pandemic of 2020. So a lot of people lost their jobs after that or within that time. And since that time, you married with 4 children. And then you're just sitting at home looking for the right job, for the right opportunity. You're still going there looking around for you to be absorbed back in the bank. No. So people keep waiting for the right opportunity. They wait endlessly. There are people who have been waiting for right opportunity for 5 years, for 9 years. There are people who are there waiting for the perfect plan. And there are also others who are waiting for dignity income. Dignity income. I'm an honorable. I'm a doctor. I'm a PhD holder. And then many of these people actually have many doctors are not doing well financially. Many doctors are not doing well financially. Many architects are not doing well financially. But you see, it becomes a stumbling block for them because you see, the society has a certain image of you, doctor, PhD, architect, this person. And then hunger is dealing with you and dealing with your household. But, and you're waiting for dignity income. When you can, people know me. Yeah, first I said it. The dignity income is deceiving. Very, very deceiving. Guys, I can carry things on my head and sell on the street if it's going to give me money. If I need it, I can put things on a tray, put it on my head and sell. Those of you who are close to me know that I would do it. Because I did it. Last year, I sold honey. I sold palm oil. I'm still going to sell honey and sell palm oil because we are getting to the season. Stop waiting for dignity income. Survival income is not shameful. Putting food on the table for your family is not shameful. It is strategic. And then the good thing about small money coming in, small money that's coming into your pocket does three things. And especially as it's coming regularly, it does three things. Number one, it calms the nervous system. Because I'm telling you, your nervous system is your most fragile asset when it comes to building wealth. What that small money also does is it restores self-trust. It restores self-trust because I remember how I used to feel. I even sold coffee, from the boot of my car. I joined this Organo Gold movement because anything that promised to give me some survival income, to feed my family at the time and then to pay school fees, I did it. And see, all that is behind me now. And when I look at where I have not arrived, but when I look at where I am today, compared to this period of my life in my 40s that I'm telling you about, it's unimaginable. There's no way I could have imagined that after going through that. So even though I made the survival income, I started with the survival income. And it's like when God said or saw, oh, okay, this guy is actually serious because, the scripture says, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. And he said, in due time, he will exalt you. Who would have believed if the people who saw me dancing by the street and selling fruit juice bottles, if they saw me, or if somebody told them that months later, I will be working with the #1 university in the world, they would never have been. I couldn't even have imagined it myself. Because for me, what was important was just survive, that they pay the next school fee. And the dignity income came later. Because Stanford University came. After a series of interviews, 7 different interviews. Because to work with Stanford University is not a piece of cake. Plus background checks that they hired a firm in Belgium to check everywhere, check all my records up to my village. It was just incredible. You wouldn't imagine that it's this guy who was dancing in the streets and selling coffee from the boot of his car for survival income that was standing in the same platform with professors of Stanford Graduate School of Business, traveling around the continent to help businesses. You will never, I mean, is somebody getting inspired? So start from there. Stop waiting for dignity income. Okay? The small money calms your nervous system. It restores self-trust, because all I needed at that time was that self-trust, self-efficacy, that, oh, I can still make money even though I was in my 40s. So, and then clarity follows cash. I tell you, every day I got back home with some sales, having made some sales. It was a little amount of money, but it was calming my system. It was also every day refueling hope that keep going, keep going. The money is small today, but keep going. It's going to grow tomorrow. So now what I want to ask you is, what is one thing you can earn something? One way you can earn something in the next 14 days. You need to think about it and actually write down. Okay? What is one way I can earn something in the next 14 days? Not forever, not big, just real. Example could be part-time work, something you do online, an online gig. It could be a service for your neighbors, fix the lawn or something. It could be assisting someone else's business, whatever. Just write one option. One option. What is one way I can earn something in the next 14 days? So that's pillar number 3. The next one is pillar number 4. Okay, so Funke has a question there. So let me go through it today. Bring up your question again because the comments are scrolling. So by the time I'm done, I won't be able to see it. So I will take questions at the end of it. So just make sure that when we are done, you copy and paste your question again, and then I will address it. So pillar number 4, and I love this, systems beat motivation. There are 4 reasons that most of us struggle in our 40s, 50s, and 60s. And in fact, the older we get, and if we don't address these 4 problems, the more complicated it becomes, and the more likely that we will never retire, that we'll never be financially free. And it's sad, people are dying every day, never having been financially free, never having tasted what financial peace is. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, financial peace is such a blessing. It's such a divine blessing. But if you don't do these 4 things, if you don't solve these 4 problems in your 40s, 50s, 60s, if you don't solve these 4 problems, financial freedom will be out of reach. You don't even get financially free, like the older you get, just because your relations or your children can give you money. Financial freedom is really personal. Financial freedom is an internal journey. It's a self-efficacy journey. Yes, your relations will give you, your children will also support you, but it doesn't address that self-efficacy issue, because within you, you will still feel, oh, I should have done more. Now I could have done this. Now I didn't do it. Now I'm relying on my children. But it's sweeter when you have your own money, your own financial freedom, and then your children are just doing the obligation that children need to do for parents because they need it for their own blessing, especially if you come from Africa and Asia. I think perhaps South America, because in Africa, we don't send our parents to the nursing home. It's an abomination, except if you've started doing it in your country. It's an abomination that your mother that bore you birth, and then the parents, African parents and African mothers particularly, fathers do a lot. They sacrifice a lot. They sacrifice a lot, to educate you. I don't know why I'm saying this. If you're in this live stream or you're watching it later, and you've not been taking care of your parents, asking how they are, even calling them, supporting their health, supporting the environment, where they live, in the village. Please repent. Repent is wrong. See what your mother went through. See what my mother went through, for instance. What my father went through. These guys literally deny themselves anything. My father wouldn't buy clothes. What? I don't remember him ever going out and then buying, like clothes, for himself because of my school fees. My mother, each time she was paid, right from when we were small, she never, in those days that they used pay envelope, they weren't banks. They just go to school, they pay them their salary inside this brown envelope. I think that's how the brown envelope thing started. In my presence, we were little children, but my mother would bring that entire envelope, give to my father. She will not remove a cent or a kobo, like we say, from it. And you ask her, she said, because she knew that my dad was using that money to pay our school fees. And so after your parents have finished doing that, then you just graduate and then start living. You just find one babe and then you start flying around the whole place, living your life, and then you don't. That's terrible. That's not good. Having said that, we need, you need to build, your own financial freedom. Don't let it depend on, because the children may struggle. So if they struggle, what are you going to do? How are you going to fund the rest of your life? And then it's likely that if you're 60, it's likely you'll still be here for another 30 years. People are living longer. I keep saying that. It's likely you're 60. It's likely you'll still be here in another 35 years. Because look around you, you see gentlemen who are in their 90s. And if you don't sort out how you're going to fund the rest of your life, you will struggle. Because if you look at those gentlemen who are in their 90s, 95 and all that, they are very well to do. They're the people who fly out to America once or twice in the year for checkup, and they can afford it. If you look at all those people who live till 95, 90 something, they have the means. And so you see people who can't fund the rest of their lives. By the time they are 70, 75, they've run out of money. And then one little disease, you just take them out. Is this making sense? Is this helping somebody? Okay. So I was talking about the 4 things that you must fix now if you're in your 40s, 50s. So number 1 is low financial literacy. This is why I encourage you, join our financial fitness challenge, because that's my wealth mentorship group. Join it. Make it your number 1 goal this year. You know why I'm saying it? It's important for you to be in a community where people talk about money, about finances, about their lives, because we have many people in the financial fitness challenge who are in their 40s. We have some in their 60s. I'm 60 myself. Join that place where you can be hearing the language of money. People are talking about stocks, about investments, about all these things. Be there. In the description section of this video, you will get the link. You will get the link to join. You'll get the link to join the financial fitness group. So you'll be there getting all these conversations and this mindset that will help you, because the number 1 problem of people who are in their 40s, 60s, 70s and they're not doing well is low financial literacy. The second problem is you are not playing in the financial markets. So many of you, for all your 40 years, 60 years on the earth, you have been in the labor market. You've been working, doing 9 to 5. You've been in the labor market. But the labor market is very limiting. There is a cap in the kind of income, the level of income you can ever make it working for another person. But for all your 60 years, that's all you've known. That's the cost of poverty and lack and financial struggle. Because the real money and the real freedom is in the financial markets. So while you're sleeping, you're making money in the financial markets. Like Warren Buffett said, if you don't have assets that are sweating and making you money while you're sleeping, say you're going to die working. And then anytime I go to the United States or to Canada, I see people who are in their 70s, in their 80s, having to work. You go to Walmart, you see them. Go to some of these other grocery stores, you see them. They must work. And they work. People work till they die because they don't have a stake in the financial markets. They don't know what the stock market is. They don't know ETFs. They don't know they don't even know anything about real estate. They don't know anything about Forex, crypto, and all those things. Number 3, people struggle because they do not have systems. Your money is too random. There's no system to your money. And number 4, people over 40 struggle with money because they are in the poverty circles. They are not in any rich network. And then you have to build that intentionally because nobody comes and delivers access to you. You have to build access. Because at some point, it's not hard work. It's who knows you. It's whether your name is being mentioned where it matters. The $1 million, $1 billion decisions are not done in the boardroom. Most of them are done in the boat club. Most of them are done in the golf course. Most of them are done in after hours, at the bars. That's where most of these things. So, and the thing is, if your name is not such that it can be mentioned in places that matter, you're going to struggle. So those are the 4 things that you miss. So the pillar 4 focuses on systems. Okay? Motivation fades, but systems don't fade. Motivation depends on your mood. Systems work even when your confidence is low, even when your mood is bad. And that's why we say systems, you say follow the plan, not your mood. So after 40, wealth is built by boring consistency, what I call boring consistency, not excitement. Okay, so you don't need discipline. You need rhythm, and that's what system helps you to create. So how can you put this in practice? This pillar: choose 1 day per week. Create 3 blocks of time. Okay, 1 block is your earning block, 60 to 90 minutes. The second block is your learning. Learning is so important, and people keep talking about, they use that expression, and they're right. Learn to earn. If you're not learning, your earning is going down. And then the third block of time is to review. Okay, so same day, same time every week. And that becomes your money system. So pillar number 5, convert income into freedom. So earning is survival, conversion is freedom. Many people earn again and again, but they still remain stuck. And why? Why is that? You earn money, but you stop because money comes in and disappears. That's why. But freedom begins when money is directed, not reacted to. If you send $1 million to my account this night, this evening, before close of business tomorrow, it's gone because it already has its assignment. And then the problem with many of us is that we don't give our money assignment. So money that comes into your life is just drifting, purposeless, and money hates it. Money hates to just drift around without purpose. And when there is no assignment for your money, it defaults to entertainment. It defaults to entertainment, and then the money just disappears. So you need to direct your money. Every amount of money that comes into your pocket should have an assignment. And you can decide this before you decide it before the money arrives. That's what I'm telling you, because I've already made the decision about my money. I've already made a decision about the money. If it comes in, I'm telling you, even $10 million. There are some of you that if you receive a certain amount of money, accidentally, or let me say, like we say in our religious communities, miraculously, you get a certain amount of money, it's going to turn you crazy. A lot of people, once they get some big money like that, the first thing they think about is car, or they think about, moving to a more expensive neighborhood. Hmm? Money hates that. Money loves structure. So you can have a simple rule that when money comes in, maybe 50% is for living, 30% is for stability. That's where you have your emergency fund. That's where you have your savings. And the emergency fund is so important. We were having that conversation with the family, just a couple of days ago, because so many people are always one disaster away, one event away from disaster, one financial event away from disaster. Many years ago, there was a very sad case of a family that lost their little son. It was about 6 or 7 at the time. Why? In the middle of the night, the boy developed fever. The body became so hot and he started convulsing, and they didn't have money to they didn't even have money to buy a hospital card. If they went to card, they couldn't move, and the place they were living, they don't have a car, and there were no taxis. Even if there was a taxi, they could not, that part of the town that they were living, even if it was a taxi, they couldn't afford it. So some deaths are really poverty related, because if they had the money, if they had a car, they would drive that child to the hospital, and that child, could have been saved. So you have emergency fund to deal with emergency, so that you don't need to call somebody immediately. You can act if that thing happens, because you have that. And then 20%, you can say 20% is for growth, is for skills, is for tools, is for assets, is for investing. So you can adjust the numbers the way it suits you, because now that I'm much older, the children are out of the house and then doing well on their own, my money has a different assignment. So even though there are a couple of people, not our children, that we help, with school and things like that, but the burden isn't as it was, when we were raising our children, and they are doing well on their own, some married and all that. So my money has different assignments. That's why I'm telling you, if $1 million comes to my account today, you won't find it by close of business tomorrow. You won't find it in my account. Okay? My lady carpenter was asking, what is the third block? I don't know which one you have, but the third block is to review, because review is important. Review. Now, reviewing your finances periodically is important. It's like what they do in the American. I know about American military. I know about American Navy, because I saw their document where they talked about AAR. But it's probably the same thing with other militaries in the world. So AAR is after action review. And let me tell you something. If you want to run your business like I do, if you want to run your business successfully, you need to study the military. There's a whole lot of similarities. I'm looking for a different word, but similarities between what makes a military powerful and successful, and also what makes a business powerful. Because military has mission, and mission becomes the organizing factor for the organizing principle for the way their resources are used, the way that behaviors are shaped, the way that schedules are planned. Everything revolves around the mission. Same thing in business. The military talks about strategy. Same thing in business, and the success of every military campaign depends on strategy. So I was hearing something about how the American military, was able to get into the presidential residence of Venezuelan president and then pick him up. Incredible planning, incredible strategy, and then incredible planning and incredible execution. Same thing in business. The strategy has to be good. The planning has to be very, very efficient. and then importantly, the execution. So sometimes businesses are good with planning, with getting strategy, but not very good in execution, and then it never gets done. So the American military does after action review. It's the same thing you should do with your money. So that's what that block is about. Okay, so money without direction creates anxiety, and money with direction builds confidence. Okay, so in bringing it home, if your financial life feels like a dead end, it does not mean your life is over. It does not mean that your life is over. Okay, so if your financial life feels like a dead end after 40, it just means that the old way stopped working. And believe me, the money game changes after 40. It changes, in its entirety after 40. Okay, after 40, success is not about speed, it's about coherence. So small wins, one lane, predictable systems, income first, conversion always. So, and then you don't need to see the full staircase. You only need to know what is the next solid step. Okay, so let me recap the pillars. Number one, safety before money. Number two, one lane only. And I also recommended this book. It's actually very, very good. Gary Keller did a great job. I don't know how many times, if you look at this book and see how how dusty the back is, many times it follows me, when I'm traveling, and I use it like a reference and all that. There's a particular quote I think I should have highlighted it. I wanted to read to you. But this one thing, thinking, I can't find it immediately, but that quote is one question. It's one question that I've had to frame so many things around. And you can actually look at it online, because what it says is, what is that one thing that if you did it and accomplished it, would make all other things easy? I'm not saying it's exactly the way he said it, but what is that one thing? After this session tonight, what is that one thing that if you did it would make all other things easy? So you can check that quote online, and if you check it while we're still here, you can put it in the comment section and then I will read it. So one lane only. Pillar number 3, income first. Stop looking for dignity income. What is that one thing you can do to bring in money? And then I have discovered from personal experience and the experience of other people that many times the dignity income doesn't come until you earn the humble income. I know an architect who was offered a very, very ordinary project to do. Maybe something like to create a fence or something like really, really ordinary, because this guy was, high level, well-trained architect. And then the governor called him or something, and then the most he could give him was to construct a fence, something like that. I don't know the exact details, but it was something really like beneath him. This guy did it very well. And from there, he got projects after projects after projects from that government. He became established. He did so many big projects, for the government after that one. But if he had refused to do that, he could never have gotten that dignity income that came later. So income first. Stop waiting for the big thing. Stop waiting for that big opportunity. What is it that you can do, right now? And then pillar number 4, systems over motivation. And then pillar number 5, convert your income into freedom. All right, excellent. So what was your aha moment and what are your questions? This is a very good time to put that in the comment section. and then I will take your comments and then your question. All right, my lady carpenter, I've answered what is the third block: learning, earning, reviewing. What else do I have here? Yep, my lady carpenter. Yeah, says wow, similarity between the military and the successful business. Absolutely. All right. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So what are your questions? What are your aha moments? And for those of you in my wealth mentorship group, please go to the Telegram group. I have it open. Go to your Telegram group and tell me what was your aha moment in today's session. Okay. What was your aha moment? Okay. Bangatu Asiki says income first. Okay. What was your aha moment? If you're my mentorship group, type it you can copy it and paste it in the Telegram group. I will read it. So tonight's session, the title, for those of you who joined late, is After 40. If your financial life feels like a dead end, this is for you. Because I get that question all the time. People asking, is it too late for me? Rehoboth says, what are the benefits of joining the mentorship group? Like I said, part of the problem that people have is that they don't belong to a group where the language of money is spoken. So their financial literacy is low, and again, they don't take opportunities when it comes. Many people who have been there became multi-millionaires. The people are sending me DMs because I recommended stocks, for them, like I do, and people who take serious and then invest become multi-millionaires over. Some people's stocks return 250%. Last the people in my wealth mentorship group, because if you bought when I recommended, like I bought to, so I can see, that's how I know that it's 200%, 200 something percent for some of the, so a lot of people have made millions. So you gain a lot, and it's not just me, because you have people in the group, you have a safe place where you can ask your money questions without being judged. And then there are people who have passed through the things that you're passing through in the group who will answer you. I'm not even the one that does most of the answering, because it's a networking group. And then in that group, you have people from everywhere. People living in the United States, in the UK, in Australia, somebody from Hong Kong, different people. So just being in a community like that. And then sometimes when there's an opportunity, I drop it there. And it doesn't go to the general public. So that's it. My lady computer says, aha moment, deciding to join your wealth mentorship. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ebube Africa said, financial freedom is an internal journey. Yes, I'm glad you picked that. Yep. Kelechi says, I want to buy shares. Which particular one would you recommend? Go to my channel. I actually published a video that was supposed to be for my wealth mentorship group alone, but in their generosity, they were happy for me to share it with everybody. Look for the video that I released yesterday on the 16 penny stocks that can make you rich this year. Rehoboth, how could one join the mentorship class and what are the benefits? Okay, I think I've answered that. And then how to join is there in the description section. Okay, Funke says, I am building a business online, but it might take a while before I start earning from it. Is it okay to start an offline business that gives me money every day? Does that mean I lack focus? No, it doesn't mean you lack focus. Whatever will bring you money right now at this moment, please go ahead and do that. Okay, do that. It's called the low-hanging fruit. And then maybe that thing you're doing offline can give you the stability and the cash flow that will enable you to do this other one that might take more time. So it doesn't mean you lack focus. You can do that. Nnamdi says, okay, yes, I watched that video. Very good for you. Did you enjoy it? Okay. Nnamdi says, I want to say a special thank you. I appreciate you so much, sir. You are welcome. You are welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you joining the stream for the first time, we do this every day from 8 p.m. Sometimes it can happen at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Depend, because sometimes life happens, or I'm in a meeting or I'm working with a company and then the time overshoots. But we do this every day, Monday to Friday, from 8 p.m. GMT +1. So what you can do is, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, I'm wondering what you're waiting for, just do that. And then press the notification bell so that as soon as I come live, you're going to get an email and you will also be notified that I'm live. So it's been a wonderful time with you, and so I need you to be encouraged. Kelechi says, what's the name of the author? The name of the author of the book is Gary Keller. Keller is Keller. Gary Keller. Thank you, thank you. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, whatever happens, keep showing up, because you have no idea what's coming your way next. And I'll see you exactly same time tomorrow. Good night.